driver. So guys will come in and they'll say, oh, I want that testosterone. Ladies aren't looking so good. I need some, and so forth. And I'll say, okay, but did you know that testosterone also lowers your risk of Alzheimer's dramatically? And you know what? If you can't remember who you were with or what you did with her, what's the good?
That's a good point. Who's on first?
Yeah, I try to focus on the mental health first. Well, we've all heard that the brain is the biggest sex organ anyway.
Right.
So let's focus there first, and the rest will come on along. Now, guy takes testosterone, and we do a test, which at this time we have to do in blood because we can't get it as accurately in the urine. It tells us about the pro- and anti-carcinogenic metabolites of testosterone. Just like estrogen, there's pro-carcinogens and anti-carcinogens. And, of course, we want the guy to have more anti-carcinogens than pro-carcinogens, and most guys do, because the majority of guys don't get testosterone-related cancer, but some do. And there are ways of getting our own bodies to make more of the good testosterone. And guess what? Researchers have found 2 ways that we can all use at home. They're called coconut oil and olive oil.
Are you serious? Coconut
oil?
I'm
very serious.
How does coconut oil convert?
Well, it doesn't convert into testosterone. What it does is it helps to induce the enzymes that help us make more of the good form of testosterone. So there are enzymes at every step in metabolism, testosterone to this metabolite, to the next metabolite, to the next metabolite, and there are enzymes at each step. And the enzymes that take it down the path to the anti-carcinogenic testosterone are stimulated by coconut oil and olive oil. Now, they're also stimulated by a lot of other things, but most of those you need a prescription for, even though they're natural. One of them is thyroid, the thyroid hormone called T3. That stimulates the anti-carcinogenic testosterone. And then there's a form of vitamin A called all-trans-retinoic acid, and there is the coconut oil, and there is the olive oil, and there's one which I've forgotten at the moment because I don't. Oh yes, it's called NADH because I don't need to use it very much, and it's kind of pricey. But all those things are natural, and nobody, I'm sorry, but nobody is going to come up with a patent medicine molecule that gets our bodies to make more good testosterone. Just like with women, the things that help women's bodies make anti-carcinogenic estrogens are all natural molecules. That's the way nature is.
Do you remember in your book that you talked about if a woman has given birth, that it lowers her propensity to get breast cancer?
Sure does, because when she is pregnant, she is flooding her breasts with estriol, and that stuff is an anti-carcinogenic estrogen. So yes, pregnancy does lower the risk. It doesn't eliminate it, but it lowers it. Now, the big things that lower the risk of breast cancer are vitamin D. Big deal.
D or D3?
D as in doggy. Oh, and that would be D3.
D3, okay.
Next, iodine and iodide. They're very important. In fact, researchers in Mexico and India have found that iodine combines with certain fats in the breasts, and it directly kills breast cancer cells. No kidding. They're called iodolactones, and they kill breast cancer cells.
So are you a big iodoral advocate?
Oh, yeah. Now, Dr. Guy Abraham is the one who pioneered the way on the iodine.
Right.
He came up with the iodoral, I-O-D-O-R-A-L, but it has competition from another company which makes exactly the same thing, except they put it in a capsule, and they call it I-T-H-R-O-I-D, Ithroid. So I don't want to just mention one company here.
Right.
So notice it has competition, which you'll never get with patent medications. So if we stick with natural medicine, which you can't patent, the price stays down. We're not going to have this ever-escalating nonsense of up healthcare costs, because one company brings out something natural that works, and here comes another company with the same thing pretty soon.
Have you met Dr. Michael Holick?
No, I haven't.
He's done, I think, 30 years of research in the area of vitamin D3.
I'm sorry. I misheard you. It's Holick.
Holick. Dr. Michael
Maybe
Holick.
It's Holick. I could be wrong, but yes, I have met Dr. Holick. So
he's on with us tomorrow morning.
Yay!
Yay!
So you've got vitamin D, ladies. You've got iodine. You've also got broccoli.
Yeah, I saw that whole list in the book. That was very exciting.
Yeah, just eating broccoli and cabbage and so forth cuts the risk of breast cancer, and so do fish oils, omega-3 fatty acids. There's a lot of stuff that'll cut the risk of breast cancer, and let's not leave out the guys. For guys, the list includes vitamin D, broccoli and cabbage, no kidding, and the fish oils, but we don't know about the iodine yet for guys.
What do the fish oils really do beside that?
Well, fish oils are nature's number one anti-inflammatory, absolutely number one. And we know now that there is so much that's being blamed on inflammation in the body. Now, sure, we're going through a phase. Inflammation is the flavor of the decade, and there will be another flavor, but next decade, I hope. But it's still, that doesn't mean to diminish its importance. Inflammation has got a ton to do with disease processes, and fish oil just helps damp down inflammation. It damps it down marvelously well. However, I've got to say here that we never, ever, ever should use fish oil without accompanying it with vitamin E, because fish oil unaccompanied by vitamin E, after a period of several months to several years, can start damaging cell membranes through a process called, for what it's worth, lipid peroxidation. But if we have enough vitamin E in us, that doesn't happen.
I would imagine that Life Extension would have something developed where it's in there, but I didn't see it in my bottle.
No, hardly anybody has that yet. I don't know quite why. Maybe because vitamin E has been sold separately for so long. And by the way, it has a lot of good uses separate from fish oil, but it always should be used with fish oil, and it always should be the mixed tocopherol form, never the alpha tocopherol. Using any of the vitamin E's by themselves gets things out of balance and causes trouble.
You know, I really would like to invite you back on to talk about a few of your other books as well, but particularly why stomach acid is good for you. I know that was written in 2001, and it's been out there for a while, but I hear so many people with acid reflux and heartburn and all kinds of problems with their stomach and digestion that I really think a whole segment should be dedicated to this. And I'm sure you're still in consultation with your patients about this, aren't you?
You can't help it. The Mayo Clinic published a study in the 1930s in which they checked the stomach acid content of people at every decade of life except for small children. They did teenagers, they did 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, et cetera, et cetera. And what they found in their study was that by the time we all get to be 60, half of us, our stomachs aren't making enough acid, along with the accompanying enzyme pepsin, to completely digest everything and get our nutrition in. So basically, that half is getting less nourishment out of the food, even if they're eating perfectly, than they did when they were younger. So in a manner of speaking, they're getting malnourished. Now, it turns out that's no big surprise, folks, because look at what happens as time goes by. It's going to happen to everybody. Let's see. I can't run as fast as I could when I was 20. Can you? No. Some of us, many of us, need glasses as we get older. Some of us, why, now we're getting gray hair and white hair, and we had brown hair. And so things do slow down with time. That's nature. So whatever, besides TV commercials, convince people that what happens when we get older is our stomachs speed up and start making too much acid. I mean, duh. They don't. They make too little acid. And oddly enough, when we get into this other topic on the air, we'll go over why it is that too little stomach acid is the major cause of heartburn, not too much.
It's absolutely fascinating, and I think it's really important. I just cannot tell you how many times I sit with people at dinners and at occasions, and they're in pain or they're uncomfortable, and they're taking Prilosec.
There's Prilosec, there's Prevacid, there's Protonix. Now, you probably know that all of those have been shown to cause bone loss. They've been shown to cause pneumonia. They've been shown to cause, of all things, vitamin C deficiency. They've been shown to cause more infections in the gut. All those things come from taking those particular medications, and it's in the medical journals. It's nothing I'm making up.
Are you a big proponent of apple cider vinegar or sodium bicarbonate for heartburn?
Sodium bicarbonate, no. Now, if you got to put out a fire, okay, put it out with a bicarb. But you keep doing that, you're going to mess up your digestion just as badly as if you're taking an acid blocker. On the other hand, I think what you're telling us about is Vermont folk medicine, aren't you? You're familiar with that.
Say that again?
Vermont folk medicine. There was a book put out called Vermont Folk Medicine, came out in the 1940s. And the big deal in that book was if you have indigestion, take a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, stir it into water, and take it with meals.